Hey everyone, I'm Suman. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Marco. At Marco, we help companies and communities connect their people through experiences, and we're super honored to work with companies that are really kind of innovating in employee experience, how they connect their people, and also themselves have really amazing missions, one of which is Headway. Andrew is the CEO of Headway, and we'll share more about what Headway is, but we had the pleasure of working with Headway last year and thought it would be really cool to kind of highlight how Headway has grown a ton and built an amazing kind of company in the mental health space and how they're investing in their own people within their company. So with that, Andrew, thank you so much for having me in your lovely office.
Great to be here, yeah.
Would love to hear, first of all, just like what is Headway for those who kind of aren't familiar?
Yeah, so, again, I like to anchor on our mission. Our mission is to build a new mental health care system that everyone can access, starting with a platform of therapists and a network of therapists who accept insurance through our platform, I should say. By way of background, I didn't get into Headway because I had a passion for insurance platforms. Frankly, I first and foremost identify as a patient, as somebody whose life was totally changed when I saw a therapist. When I was out on the West Coast, saw a therapist that really helped with depression I was going through at the time. Yeah. And then when I came out here to New York as part of settling down, I tried to find another therapist again. I totally failed. Yep. Couldn't find anybody whom I felt like I could afford, which at the time meant accepted my insurance. And then I realized that this was not just a problem for me. Yep. It is the problem in the space that 1 in 4 Americans have a treatable mental health condition like depression, yep, or anxiety or PTSD, but most don't get care. And the number one reason is price. And meanwhile, most therapists don't accept insurance. And if they did, therapy would be an accessible $20 or $30 copay for most folks, rather than inaccessible out-of-pocket fee. And so that led to this mission of building a new mental health care system that everyone can access. And the product, this platform that makes it easy for our connected network of providers to accept insurance. They see patients, they get paid. And in turn, we really have an opportunity, because every therapist is on our platform, our connected network, to build in partnership with plans a new mental health care system where providers are accessible in one click away, where providers can actually be engaged and integrated with a health plan strategy. And then because they're all on our platform, we can really understand and make sure to deliver quality care. And so what started as that mission, what started as, even before that, as a patient problem, my problem, is now a company that's delivering millions of appointments a year to folks that otherwise typically couldn't afford it, and working with dozens of plans across the United States to make that vision of a new mental health care system a reality.
My understanding is that you have 250 folks. Some of them are here in New York City, where I live as well, and some of them are elsewhere. How do you kind of cultivate and invest in those relationships despite kind of geographic separation? Clarity might help, actually, because I think having a written written documentation might facilitate that, for example. But.
Well, I mean, this is in some sense a natural segue to talk about our relationship with Marco. Yeah. I think there are a lot of people that say, let's do an offsite. Yeah. That's not what we do. We had very clear goals around, here are the 3 dimensions, 3 things, and again, even 3 is a lot for us rather than 1. 3 things that we want to see rise. And we asked every single person before our offsite, which we call Head Away. Again, I can't claim credit to that. We've got an inventive creative culture. We asked 3 things. How excited do you feel about your next 6 months? How much do you understand our vision and strategy, where we're going? And how connected do you feel to one another? Yep. We asked those 3 questions, and I told Nikki, here's our baseline, here's where we're at. I want to see these numbers go from here to here. Yep. Let's make that happen. We had really, really rigorous clarity around how people are feeling in terms of their connectedness. And I can tell you, from a very empirical perspective, those things that matter so much, that feeling of connectedness, went through the roof when we did the Marco offsite.
Yeah. Well, we were excited to kind of be a part and help kind of facilitate. I was talking to Felix, who was one of our team members who was there. And he was kind of like, look, this is an incredible company. There were certain moments that felt probably like pinch me moments for you as someone who's a founder, who's created this kind of company. What are kind of a few of those? I know you had some customers there, some investors there sharing the story of what you had created with amazing people that are on this journey with you. What are some of the moments that kind of drove that home for you?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned this because this is also relevant to the last question you asked. How do you sustain the sense of emotional connection in a remote age? And I remember after that offsite, which was not only one of the highlights of my professional life, it's one of the highlights of my life. I asked folks to just retain a couple images in their head, some memories, so that they can hold on to those during the tougher moments. And I asked everyone on the executive team, write down a couple of those moments. We revisited them like 6 months later during a moment of intensity, of hardship, of remote work. And yeah, I mean, there are a few fragments that come to mind. And maybe I can share, there are some that were from unstructured time and a couple from structured time. And the one that's first and foremost coming from the unstructured time is, I think we've all been to the professional event that as soon as you're there, you're like, when is this thing gonna be fucking over?
Yeah.
And you're checking your watch, and you're there, you leave as soon as you possibly can. The moment that comes to my mind is being in like a sweaty basement where like the vast majority of the company is there because there was an after party we didn't anticipate. And everybody is singing karaoke, including Colin Casey on the executive team to Shania Twain. And then I sang a ridiculous song, Teenage Dirtbag.
Well, that's a great, I mean, that's
It was a great
song.
That video, I'll always treasure that video. And it was amazing. Like folks really wanted to be there. I think that was the other special moment. And I know our VP of engineering, Tim, shared it. I think, engineers can be stereotyped as, and I say this as a mediocre former engineer myself, so I feel like I have some more license to say it. Engineers can be stereotyped or typified as being less social, being less outgoing. I mean, the memory that I remember Tim sharing was heading down to because it was Halloween during the offsite. It was a Halloween themed costume event. Literally, like everybody in the company, except for like one or two of the folks, had a costume.
I've heard costumes were amazing.
Costumes were amazing. Costumes were generally amazing.
Costumes, they were excelling in their costumes.
The engineering team, like it was the DJ set was all from various folks on the engineering team.
Yeah.
And like there was really a genuine sense of cohesion and presentness and engagement. And you can't fake people wanting to hang out with one another.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is apocryphal, but someone told me a quote about when they pulled aside Colin Powell, who's someone who's united folks on the left and the right, kind of a universally beloved political figure in a very politically divisive society. And they asked him, "What's the secret? How do you do it? How do you get people to like you?" Colin allegedly pulled this person off the side and said, "The secret is there's no secret. The secret to liking people is liking people. You have to actually enjoy being with one another." So that was a really special moment. I pulled like a couple of one unstructured moment, which was the being at the after party and having the karaoke there. The other one was being there for one of the Halloween parties. I think there were a couple moments I think were powerful that stood out. I got to get up and share a keynote to talk about where we're going and our vision and anchor it on stuff that was super personal to me and super personal to my family and our mental health, broader mental health care journey. And that felt awesome, particularly as somebody who poured so much of themselves into the company to work with one another and maybe could be better at being emotive. It was a moment where I really opened up to the company in a broader sense, and I felt really connected, and they received it well, and that was really meaningful for me, and it felt great to share that. And then it was really awesome to be to have a couple of the sessions to see some folks whom we spotlighted on the team and to see their growth, and to be like, oh my God, I remember when you joined Headway, and now I see you there up on the stage with poise, with knowledge, with having made real impact, and it'd be really hard to pull out like one given moment from the offsite. It really was truly it was incredibly impactful from a business perspective. Teams that had never met one another. There was a real sense of cohesion throughout. It was a tough year for us. We made a tremendous amount of impact. We move at like a breakneck speed here, so having that sense of unity was really important. So it was incredibly high ROI business activity. And shit, from a personal perspective, I had the time of my life. So,
yeah, that's amazing. And anything, I know that it was a few folks that we coordinated with directly, including Nikki on your team, but anything you could share about kind of the opportunity to partner with Marco?
Yeah, I think if the sort of the idiosyncrasies and the intensity of our culture hasn't shown through yet, maybe you can reiterate it for the audience. But we have a particular way we want to do things.
Yeah.
And Marco also had expertise, and I thought it was a really, really great blend of accommodating. Here's a thing that this client wants and is true to their culture, important to their culture, and then here are things that like we just know through our expertise we should really push them to do. And so there's a right level of customization. We had some events where, nope, we want to do this way, or nope, we want to do this. And there were some events that you all facilitated that you really pushed for, that really helped. And so it felt like I think the testament to Marco could be said in the following ways. I hardly thought about it like as a Marco event. I thought about like a Headway event.
Which is how it. Yeah.
Which is how it should be.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, like we didn't staff a gajillion people to do it,
Yeah.
and so like it was only possible because it was a Marco event. But yeah, as I was saying, I think the testament to Marco is one, that this felt like a Headway event,
Yeah.
and then two, that it didn't require all the resources as if it were a Headway event.
Yeah.
And it happened with like truly kind of without a hitch. Everyone who I had spoken with, I spoke with a lot of. I remember being at an offsite in a retreat with the A16Z growth stage CEOs and asked for all their advice on the best offsites, got some great feedback. And I talked with lots of different CEOs about what a great offsite is. And they all gave various different pieces of advice, but one thing that was pretty uniform was, hey, some things aren't going to go to plan, but don't worry about it. We're now the exception. Everything went to plan, and it was literally better than we could have thought. Like there wasn't even like an AV hiccup or anything. Like literally, I would really have to search and think about like the one thing that I think like could have been better.
Well,
there always is. I can because we're a critical culture and we like to move forward. But yeah.
Okay, let's end it with a question. You guys have had some tremendous progress over the past few years. What's in store for the next few years? Although you just mentioned 2030 OKR, so perhaps you're already thinking past a few years.
Yeah, I'll give the teaser. Reach out to me, find me on LinkedIn, and I will share with you the vision for what America's mental health care system will look like.
Well, with that, amazing. Thank you so much, Andrew, for taking the time.
Thank you. And again, thank you for facilitating what genuinely was not only like among the most meaningful experiences for many folks here on the Headway journey, but I can say assertively, this is one of the most important moments of my life. So thanks.
Amazing.
Yeah.